Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals. We end with our weekly feature, The Comments of the Week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 159. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I work as Celebrity. I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra. I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and
I screwed you.
I write as Kaiser.
I did.
You screwed me up.
So we're going to be off next week, and we'll be back on October 7th. Like, I can't believe it's October.
Yeah, September has flown by.
So the big news is that I saw a bear in my neighborhood. Like, we have this email thread for my homeowners association, and knock all the wood. Those people are so nice. The last place I lived, the homeowners association was insane. I just rented there, but my landlord's like, oh, could you go to the Zoom meeting homeowners association for me? And I was like, sure. And people argued for like 2 hours. It was terrible. The people here are really nice.
It's not really a homeowners association in my neighborhood. They have like a Facebook group or something. And one neighbor is always trying to get me to join. And I'm like, no, I don't want any part of it. Because I know it's going to be like that.
This is all really a lot of older people. Like, I'm probably the youngest one in my neighborhood and I'm 50. So they just send email threads and sometimes they send stupid memes and stuff, but it's fine. But anyway, one of the women, I think she's around my age actually, so I might not be the youngest. She has a Ring camera and she said she saw the bear in her driveway a couple weeks ago. And then on Friday, I was walking my dog and we saw the bear and I was like, ah, it was like pretty far, a couple 100 feet or so. Like, if it wanted to get me, it would. But we have the black bears here in Virginia. They're not bothering people for the most part. But, like, it was scary to see it, and it was watching us for a while, too.
Well, it's not the first time you've seen a bear while you've been walking, right?
Well, not in my neighborhood. Like, I can smell bears. Like, they have a really distinct smell, and I've smelled them around here before. Really. I've seen them while hiking a few times, maybe 3 times.
I've never seen a bear in person.
Ugh, it's scary.
I bet it is.
I usually yell at them and, like, make a huge fuss, and they look at me like, what is wrong with you?
Didn't we have this argument before? I'm like, that's his home. Don't yell at him.
I just want him to know not to mess with me.
I take walks by this, like, small lake on Saturdays. Usually I'm the only one there, or like one of only like 2 or 3 people there. And I always see tons of animals at this one park. Last Saturday, I saw an otter for the very first time at the lake.
Oh, wow. You guys have otters? I didn't know we have otters. Well, cute.
Yeah, we have otters. We have tons of otters in this area. And tons of like groundhogs and beavers. I usually just see snakes, frogs, bunnies. I see deer all the time.
Yeah, deer are annoying to me. My dog goes crazy and tries to run after him. He got away from me like a couple weeks ago, running after the deer.
There's a chipmunk that lives close to my house, somewhere on the property.
Those are cute.
Yeah. And I was like thinking, how have humans never domesticated chipmunks?
Right? They're really cute.
They're adorable. They would make great pets, I think, if only you could domesticate them.
I went to one of these like little home events where they have all the vendors and stuff, and these people had these sugar bears, they're called, and they're little tiny marsupials. They're not that tiny. They're like the size of mice. And they were really cute. And I looked them up and they can have all sorts of problems. What I'm saying is if we had chipmunks, they would be messed up somehow and it'd be really hard to deal with them.
Probably. Yeah, I'm sure there's a reason why we haven't domesticated them, but still, they're really cute.
They are adorable. I really hate squirrels. I don't know what it is, but there's something about them. They bug me so much. I hate squirrels.
I'm fine with squirrels.
They're so annoying.
But I hate seeing snakes.
I don't really see them.
I'm usually not that squeamish about it, but especially when I've been like walking for a while and like all of a sudden a snake appears on my path, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you don't know if they're poisonous or not. I saw a muskrat. I have a little creek near my house and I was watching and I was like, ooh, what's that? Is it a beaver? And I'm like, no, it has a rat tail. So I looked it up and it was a muskrat. I've looked for it over and over. I only saw it the one time. It was pretty cool. All right, let's talk about the royals. Since we recorded last week, the Invictus Games finished up in Dusseldorf. And the next Invictus Games are going to be in February of 2025 in Vancouver.
And Whistler. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't look that up good enough, I guess. That's in the same area?
Like, it's the same general area. They're going to be, like, more spread out, and there are going to be a lot of new events, like Winter Olympic kind of events.
Ooh. Yeah, so, I mean, we got to see how popular Harry and Meghan are around the world and how loved and respected they are, and they got a great reception.
Yeah, and you can tell how great Invictus Week was because British media can't even say shit about it. They've shut their mouths about Harry and Meghan for once because they don't want to bring up how great that week was for them.
Well, that's a good point. So usually they nitpick everything they do and make fun of them, but they're kind of bulletproof in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, they've tried to nitpick. Like, Meghan wore this and this.
How much it cost.
Expensive jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they trotted out Thomas Markle, of all fucking people.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, none of it worked. Like, it all just died on arrival.
Because you can't counter program what they have and what they've done.
Yeah. And it always looks bad for the royal family during Invictus Games. It always does. It happened at The Hague as well when Harry, like, turned up with the King of the Netherlands. And, like, King Wilhelm Alexander was, like, so friendly and nice to Harry. They were just having such a great time. And it happened again at the closing ceremony of the Dusseldorf Games. The president or chancellor of Germany, he sat right next to Harry. And there were, like, all these photos of them, like, showing a great deal of respect for each other. And, like, the German government is making all of these statements about how important it was to host the games and how they're going to treat veterans differently and they're going to fund more veterans programs. Like, it has real tangible impact what he's doing.
And they had, like, a whole NATO...
Oh, the NATO thing was amazing.
Yeah, what's the word for that? They had a whole NATO...
A delegation.
Like thousands of people came to see them.
The Italian, what's he called? Like the NATO High Command, basically. He came and he brought over 1,000-person delegation to the games. And Harry and Meghan, like, hosted this, like, photo call, basically, with the NATO delegation. And all of these, like, friends and family, they got to go to Invictus events, and there were all of these side meetings happening between, like, NATO High Command and all of the Veterans Affairs and Defense Ministers that were visiting the games and part of, like, other countries' delegations. It was just important. It was an important event.
Okay, so cue Earth, Wind, and Fire September played on the recorder. That's the intro to Will's trip to New York.
Yeah. Yeah, William's trip, it was just very obvious what he was doing. I don't even think that it was a total flop. I didn't even really want to call it that because I think William achieved what he wanted to do, which was copy Harry, get the same kind of photo ops that Harry got, and just declare it a win.
And it was so obvious that he did that, just trying to steal any bit of thunder from Harry.
Well, and just trying to cloak himself in importance. And it was utterly unearned. He just wants to, like, shake someone's hand and, like, be able to say, I had a meeting with the Secretary General. No, you had a 20-minute photo call, part of a conveyor belt full of diplomats and visiting royals. And he was doing that with everyone.
And he wasn't invited to the UN General Assembly.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. And he was supposed to meet with the mayor when he went to go visit FDNY Ten House, which is across the street from Ground Zero, and they lost a lot of firefighters in the towers. And the mayor canceled like a half hour before he was supposed to show.
And something interesting about that, which I'm going to talk about in a post tomorrow, is that none of the British media wants to talk about that the mayor canceled on him. That's how you know that it chapped William's ass.
And, like, Harry went there in 2009. Harry went to the same firehouse.
Yeah, he went to the same firehouse. And when Meghan and Harry went to New York in 2021, They did a photo call at World Trade Center, One World Trade or whatever it's called, with the governor of New York and then Mayor De Blasio.
So he had to go to New York to announce the Earthshot finalists.
Oh, and by the way, during the Sussex's 2021 visit to New York, they also had meetings at the UN. Yes, it wasn't during the General Assembly, but they were taking meetings at the UN.
They were invited to speak at the UN.
And yeah, that happened last year. Harry was invited to speak on Mandela Day, and then Meghan, even before she joined the royal family, she spoke at the UN as a UN women's advocate.
So at the end of the trip, we got the inevitable coverage that it was such a success and blah, blah, blah. But there was also a couple of really kind of disturbing pieces in the Daily Mail, both by women authors, like women journalists, who were saying how sexy and amazing William was. It read like some Russian propaganda for Putin or something. So he was compared to Mr. Darcy, and there was an article by Amanda Platel. To me, it sounded like she was given an assignment and she was like, oh, I hate this. So she just laid it on so thick.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And there was some shade in that article, too, because not even Kate could overshadow him. Well, we'll get to that. But Kate was trying to overshadow him, and she did it quite easily because William's whole trip did not get the kind of overwhelming buzz that he was hoping for back home. That's the entire reason he went to New York. He wasn't actually trying to win hearts and minds in New York or in America. He just wanted to go to America and tell the British audience, Americans love me. And it didn't really work on that level.
But they really tried to convince us. So Platel wrote that Kate, quote, couldn't steal her husband's thunder. William was setting social media alight all by himself, with women across the U.S. swooning over the handsome and sexy prince. Yeah, he was also called America's sex god, and said that he had adoring American fans. Come on.
It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
And his itinerary wasn't even released in the media. I don't know how these quote-unquote fans found him. Arguably, the only time that he was known to be somewhere was the firehouse visit. Those people, they were just waiting there. They're like, oh, who is coming to the firehouse now?
They thought it might be Harry.
Yeah, they thought it would be Harry. And that was where the mayor was supposed to go too. But yeah, do you think that this whole sexy Prince William thing is a rollout for single guy William?
I don't know, but it's really gross either way.
Yeah.
I can't really think of it that much. So it's clear that Kate and William are competing for attention because they didn't do anything for 2 months and now they're both doing events. And the messaging around William is that he can't be upstaged by Kate. So she stayed back in England and she visited a naval base and she visited a youth charity. And there were tons of photos of her. She really does look medicated. Yeah. The way she poses with her face.
Yeah, the over-the-top smiling. She has dilated pupils, for goodness sake. She just looks off-kilter and unwell. And that wig isn't helping. Since she became Princess of Wales, her hair has looked like shit. And the wigs keep getting worse and worse.
Maybe she is a bad hair person.
Maybe she made her wig person cry. There's some real passive-aggressive shit happening with Kate's styling. That's all I'll say. Kate's style people hate her. Flat out.
Although, really, it doesn't take much to get her to look bad and to think it's good.
The way she was copying Meghan, right off the bat, is psychotic.
So she wore a beige suit just like Meghan did. And
she looked like shit in it, too.
Yeah, yeah. And we talked last week about how she wore the white suit during the opening of Invictus Games like Meghan's white suit the previous year. So the Earthshot Awards are going to be in Singapore on November 7th. And we just heard this week that Kate is not expected to go.
That I was not expecting because I thought that was the trade-off for Kate not going to New York with William for this trip. Yeah. I thought the trade-off was, well, Kate will go to Singapore because that's what everyone has been saying for months and months and months, is that Kate would join him in Singapore, that they would do a little Singapore tour and be there for like 4 or 5 days and do events or whatever. The fact that Kate isn't going and apparently William does not want her there, it's shocking.
And now there's negative stories about Kate in the press. They're dragging her for taking a helicopter to the naval base and saying that's bad for the environment, which is accurate. They should drag her for that, but they wouldn't be doing it if they didn't have permission.
Yeah, they rarely, if ever, talk about Will and Kate's helicopter use. And I'm not sure if like the helicopter story came directly from the palace, but it's clear that the palace doesn't give a shit about correcting it or getting Sky News to take it down.
You reported that their former head was kind of saying that the royals control the press to a ridiculous degree. So maybe they're running negative stories on their own.
I don't even know, but it does feel like the British media has gotten the wink and the nudge that it's okay to go after Kate. That it's okay to be a little bit more critical of her all of a sudden.
Because she's stealing William's thunder. She did that to Charles and Camilla before. Now she's doing it to William.
Yeah. I noticed that William and Kate have been silent as the grave while Charles and Camilla are in France. They're like, we can't fuck this up again because Charles will have our ass.
Right. So they arrived in France on Wednesday, and this was a visit that was rescheduled from March because there were protests in France at the time and threats against Charles.
Which is still funny to me. They were like, we're going to bring out the guillotine. And Charles is like, I'm going to keep my happy ass home.
Yeah, I'm not going.
So what did you think of Camilla's Dior gown?
I mean, it's just a black evening gown,
It was navy.
Oh, it's navy? Let me look at it again.
Yeah, both she and Brigitte Macron wore navy.
Oh, it's navy. I see. I like her jewelry.
Yeah, the sapphire and diamond necklace is, the old queen's.
That's some Titanic shit she's got on her neck right now.
I actually thought the Dior gown was pretty. I thought she looked pretty in navy. The pink look was awful. Oh my God.
It's not very good. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. She looks all right. You can definitely tell she got a facelift, like a thread lift or something. Maybe she didn't get a full... Because she doesn't look as terrible. Like, she's...
You think? I think she looks old as hell.
She does, but I think she got a little something. She got like a thread lift or something.
I always thought, when she like mysteriously went to India right after the old queen died, I thought she was getting a little something done. But then she came back and she didn't look that refreshed.
She looks a little different to me. Who knows?
It could just be photoshopping.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they regularly yesify her photos and Kate's as well.
Right. So now they're in France, they're doing stuff. Charles gave a speech to the French Senate. He spoke in French. I didn't know he spoke French. I don't really pay that much attention to him, other than our job. And he was talking about climate change and the need for protecting the environment. He's doing something, but it's all to look important.
Yeah. The set pieces for Charles and Camilla's trip, they're good. I haven't seen anything like really problematic. There have been no major flubs. I think it's going well for them, and I think they need it to go well, and they're trying to pretend like they don't need it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, it does.
Brexit really did a number on British diplomacy and British power within Europe.
The conservatives screw everything up all over the world. Like, there's no doubt. But yeah, they're doing a better job than William, but William is so ham-fisted with everything.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine what Charles's PR would be if he had the Kensington Palace clowns working for him? Be like, oh, Charles looks so sexy. He's a big boy now. He's making speeches.
Oh my God.
That's how they talk about William, a 41-year-old man.
Yeah. And he had to go by himself and show that he's so amazing and beloved. And yeah, he's going to be a terrible king. All right, well, let's move on to the comments of the week.
Oh, you want me to do my comments first?
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 comments. One is just kind of silly. It was about Charles and the Sky News former boss, like saying that, the media is way too incurious and compliant about the royals. But I use these recent photos of Charles, like wandering around a race course. He had his tongue out And Waitwhat wrote, he's in his Miley Cyrus era. His tongue is out all the time these days.
Maybe it's elderly person thing.
No, I think he just likes laughing with his tongue out.
Ugh.
That's his thing. Like, Kate's thing is
laughing with her whole mouth open.
That really crazy smile. Yeah. And my other comment of the week is from one of the Kate story with really tragic hair at the naval station. And Pinkosaurus wrote, my theory is the gopher and Kate fought over her good wig that morning and the gopher won. I have no idea what's going on with her head, but it must have looked terrible in person. I try not to make attacks on personal appearance, but she invests so much in her clothes and personal upkeep. I'm really surprised by the state of her hair. Her hair looked like shit.
It did look bad, particularly at the naval base. Maybe that's because the helicopters were moving it around. But if you go to their Instagram for the Prince and Princess of Wales or whatever, the thumbnail for the video of her visit there, like, it looks like the wig is askew. It's really bad.
I just don't know what she was thinking wearing a janky wig to a naval station where she knew she was going to be around like windy conditions and planes and helicopters.
And if she's having problems with her hair thinning, she could wear little hats and stuff. She could wear like a cap. No, for real. Like, just wear a cap, you know? That's what I do when I'm having a bad hair day. I mean, I'm much more basement bottom dressing. I'm not trying to impress anybody, but you could find something cute and wear it. I don't know. So my comment of the week is on Kismet's post about Drew Barrymore's video where she tries to act like a victim, even though she's the one who brought her show back. And Drew recorded this video before she decided she was going to not go forward with production, you know, in violation of the strike. So Blue Nails Betty wrote, this video was a masterclass in how not to apologize, along with how fake Drew is. I've never been a fan of hers. I was neutral, but something about her was off-putting. Now she seems downright fake and manipulative. Well, I'm glad she's keeping her show shut down. I can't help but think she realized how much money she would lose if her reputation took a hit. So you don't agree with me, but Drew Barrymore has bugged the crap out of me for years. And this is my kind of thing where, you know how you don't like Laura Dern and she's your nemesis? I don't know if Drew was my nemesis, but I was always thinking that she is full of shit. Like, she has this kind of hippy-dippy, happy persona, and she's, you know, full of herself, I think. I don't know. I'm glad other people are seeing it.
I don't think she's full of herself. I mean, I'm not going to fight with you. A nemesis is a nemesis. You can't change that.
I don't know about she's a nemesis, but I never liked her.
To me, Drew Barrymore is not some, like, mastermind evil person.
No, I'm not saying that. She's not mastermind. She's just an asshole.
Yeah, well, you know my opinion. I believe that everyone is an asshole. Like, just start at that baseline and, like, you'll never be disappointed.
Okay.
But yeah, like, Drew is fine. People were yelling at me about that Architectural Digest cover with Drew. Like, she did that a few months ago before this whole controversy, and it was just sitting in drafts. I was like, oh, this might be a good time to post it. People were mad. They're like, why are you platforming her? Like, Jesus
So we
Christ.
should tell people that you write a lot of stories just as filler, and we have a ton of stories on the backlog at any time. And so sometimes we'll publish the old stories, and you're like, I better get this out of the way before Drew digs her hole deeper, basically. So
yeah, people were mad. Like, I'm so disappointed that you're not even talking about the strike. It's Architectural Digest, for goodness sake. I just wanted to talk about her view on open concept. That was all I wanted to talk about.
It's cracking me up how the whole internet now figures out how ridiculous commenters are. It's taken many, many years, but we've known for a long time. Like, it doesn't matter what you write about. Someone will find a way to complain.
Did you see that TikTok where the woman was breaking down the comments for a bean soup video?
Yeah, where people were like, I can't digest beans. Okay, it's not for you. I've had people with alopecia email me long messages about how horrible we are for pointing out that Kate wears janky wigs. I'm like, it's not against your hair loss. I'm not getting back to them because it's kind of like, okay. That happens a lot. That happens a lot. I saw this other one where this woman's like, oh, hi, does anybody have recommendations for non-dairy cheese? Because I'm lactose intolerant. And then she had people in her mentions telling her what a terrible person she was because she's not vegan. And comparing, like, eating meat to slavery and stuff. And she's a black woman. And she's like, whoa, you know? It's so true. That's how it goes, man. That's our job.
Do you remember that viral tweet about a woman just saying that she likes to have breakfast with her husband and they can sit for
She drinks coffee with her husband in the garden. And she's like this sweet hippie woman.
And like everyone was attacking that poor woman who just wanted to have coffee with her husband.
How dare you have a nice life when mine sucks. Oh, yeah.
That was amazing.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.
But that woman, she wasn't putting her whole life out there.
She just had like 2 lines about how she likes having coffee.
That was one of the most unhinged days on the internet.